What's up, everybody, and welcome to another day here in my kitchen. As Chris tonight, we are going to do volume 2 of corned beef pierogi casserole in the form of Reuben. So rather than just doing it like I did in that first video, and I noticed I cursed a little bit, and I didn't like that because I wanted to see again how to do it. So I watched my own video to try to remember what I put into it. So this one's slightly different, all right? No cursing to this one. I didn't like that. It was skeevy. Anyways, so what you're gonna need is you're gonna need sauerkraut, you're gonna need corned beef, and here's what I like to put inside of it. I did store brand pickling spice. Now your corned beef comes with pickling spice as well, but because I'm making so much of it, this has, almost went like this, try to smell it, has a little bit more of like a Christmas smell to it. I know I say that a lot. It's got allspice and ginger. It's got allspice, mustard seeds, things like that, and it's delicious. So what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna give you a quick overview on what we need. All right, so you do need sauerkraut. If you like coleslaw, you can use coleslaw, but the preparation of coleslaw is a little different. You're gonna just simply use the coleslaw to blanket the corned beef over the pierogies, and then you're gonna put the cheese on top of that to melt it. And we're also, as a bonus, we're going to make homemade Russian dressing. In the last video, I used Thousand Island. This time, we're going to do Russian dressing. I personally think it tastes a little bit better. There's some similarities to the two, but Russian dressing has a little bit more spice to it. And we're going to make it from scratch because I don't have any. So we're going to make it. So with this, you're going to caramelize onions. This is a rather beefy dish. There's about almost 5 pounds of corned beef. I was going to cook for my church tonight. They canceled last second because of unforeseen events. My pastor needs to plan out the day for tomorrow and do his sermon where he was going to have a guest speaker do it for us, so he was going to dedicate today. You're going to need for this case, because it's so much, 2 onions. All right, so we're going to caramelize 2 full onions. Doesn't matter what size it is. If you have the really small ones, do 3. Okay. We're going to put it in with this. We're going to mix it all together, kind of like you would for a Sabrett hot dog. You want the caramelized onions with the sauerkraut so you can get a nice, the last time the dish was a little dry, so I made sure I had a pretty decent amount, and I'm going to make some extra onions to go with it. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay, there you go. Just like last time, you're going to cut these long ways. All right, that in here is 3 onions. I'm going to set here onto the oven. Okay, and now I'm going to, because we still got a while to go on this beef here, so I'm going to teach you right now how to make Russian dressing, okay? All right, first things first, you want to get your base. It's going to be a ½ cup of mayo. So I got Berman's Original Whipped Mayo Dressing, and very simple ingredients. I got it at Aldi. Considering what I've heard about, what is it, Hellmann's? Yeah, better safe than sorry. All right, so this here is a full cup, but I think considering, all right, so that's about half full, thinking positively here. All right, so you got the ½ cup of mayo. All right, so that's going to be your dressing base. Your rubber scooper. Rubber scooper is your best friend. Paid like $1, I think it was $1 at AC Moore when it was still open. And it's been my favorite ever since. All right, you got that. What I forgot to do was get my measuring spoons. Everything is basically teaspoons and tablespoons now. All right, so it calls for a tablespoon of minced onion. So here is minced onion. I cut it real small. I basically just took a couple pieces out of there, like a couple long pieces, and then cut it up into a tablespoon. All right, so you're gonna pop that in there. And here's the recipe for Russian dressing, by the way. I just jotted it down real quick, and I'll explain it as I go if you can understand my chicken scratch. All right, so 1 cup of mayo, 1 tablespoon of minced onion, all right, a teaspoon of horseradish. We'll do the wet ingredients after, all right? We'll do the dry ones first so we don't have to wash these, all right, right away. All right, so what you're gonna need is salt, pepper, smoked paprika, and dry mustard. Yeah, there's my salt right there. Okay. So we will go ahead and do the smoked paprika. That's ½ teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon. Okay, ½ teaspoon. All right, it's half a teaspoon, pop that in. Paprika, done. Wherever the top of it went, there it is. All right, half a teaspoon of smoked paprika, half a teaspoon kosher salt. See if I can get any. Yeah, I'm just gonna do this the hard way because there's not much left. My kosher salt box. There we go, always over the sink. Half a teaspoon kosher salt. I think that concludes all the half teaspoons. Everything else is now quarter. So we're gonna do 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. It says freshly ground, but we're gonna make do with what we have, okay? Like I always do. And my dishes come out amazing, so that's a half. Add more if you need it. Same thing goes for the salt. And then finally, last but not least, a 1/4 teaspoon of dry mustard. So I want to try this. All right, so 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground dried mustard. Okay. Now on for the wet ingredients. All right. It's going to be a teaspoon of horseradish. All right. So 2 of these, because it's a half a teaspoon, we're going to do 2 of these of horseradish. Okay, it's 1. And altogether, this makes about 3/4 cups of Russian dressing, okay? I forgot to include a very important ingredient, 3 tablespoons of ketchup flavored chili. I have ketchup. I don't know what they mean by ketchup chili sauce. So 3 tablespoons of ketchup. I mean, it's close to Thousand Island, not quite. So we'll do that. All right, so we got the horseradish out of the way. So minced onion, this, horseradish, smoked paprika, kosher salt, dry mustard, ground black pepper. So we have a tablespoon here. Oh, we'll do a teaspoon of Worcestershire just to get it out of the way. All right. Oh, shake before pouring. Okay, got the Worcestershire sauce. I'm gonna add another drop because this is lined with the rest of the horseradish. That's like another half a teaspoon sitting in there. All right. Now 3 tablespoons of ketchup. And don't ask me why, but Heinz ketchup doesn't say vegan on it, so I don't know what's in it that makes it not vegan, but the store brand is. So it kind of makes you further wonder about these conspiracies about what's really put in these products. So all right, so 3 tablespoons ketchup. 1. Thousand Island is essentially ketchup and mayo. Essentially. Alright, so it's 3 tablespoons. Go ahead, stir this up and see how it tastes. It's like almost 5 pounds of beef sitting there. I'm just going to go ahead and stir this well. And it looks just like Russian dressing, to my pleasant surprise. And altogether, this makes about 3/4 of a cup of dressing. And it's great for Reuben's. I actually prefer this over Thousand Island. Alright, so this is my handy dandy rubber spatula. Oh my god, I like it better than what you get at the store. Wow, that's good. Ooh, that's gonna make my dish delicious. I could definitely tell the difference in mayonnaise brand. This has, it's a little bit sweeter than Hellmann's, I think. Yeah, I got this at Costco. We're gonna get started on these. This, unlike what I did the last time, was I deep fried them all. We're gonna do this a little bit differently. What we're gonna do is, I'm gonna bake them, put a little bit of peanut oil underneath them, and then put a little peanut oil on the top so they get nice and crispy. But rather than deep frying them, which the deep fried is really good, we're gonna bake them. So, bake 400 degrees, 18 to 20 minutes. Fair enough. I'm gonna put just enough. I got a brand new baking sheet here. We're just gonna put enough to line the bottom with it, and then we can make our casserole. So we're gonna put about maybe 12 to 15 onto this casserole dish. This should feed a family of 4 to 6, depending on how much you eat. You could always get a couple sheets, which I could do. I could do 1, and then you could do 2 of these. You could actually feed your entire family, and then got leftovers for the rest of the week. And I will tell you, the leftovers were delicious when I did this. So I'm very pleasantly surprised with how the first recipe turned out. My only complaint about it was, and I said it in the video, it was a little on the dry side in that I should have used more sauerkraut. But again, the other alternative is if you want to use coleslaw, it's really one full step out of your way. You don't have to worry about sauteing onion. You don't have to worry about doing the whole thing with the sauerkraut. Although, I took the juice out of the sauerkraut and put it in brine that I'm cooking the meat in. So it gives it like an extra brininess, because I used pickle juice last time. It came out very good. My pickles, I didn't know pickles went bad. I went to eat one last night and it was not good. So I'm just going to line this neatly, or kind of like in a scalloped position. So we're not going to do it like this. We're going to kind of layer it just like that, so that you got full coverage of pierogies. This is just basic cheddar potato. I wish they had the onion one. The onion one was good. All right, so this is peanut oil. We're just going to line the pan with it. There we go. It's going to be like maybe a tablespoon or two worth. Oh, look. It's a cue. Bring the pain. All right. No more playing. Do you want to play a game? This is not a game. Both said by Q. Two different situations, obviously. But if a deep stater heard that, they'd say, oh, look, it's contradicting itself. No, you're just not reading the right context. Same could be said about the Bible. So we're just going to do that, kind of scallop it a little bit. So you're going to layer it like this. You don't have to season it if you don't want to. I mean, you're going to have plenty. And it's actually pretty a lot on the bottom, so we can... Alright. So you kind of want to line this whole bottom here with pierogies. Alright, and then you'll put the meat and all the toppings on the top. You're going to make yourself a nice casserole. Alright? It's just it's an easier, lot less involved dish than the previous. Alright? Okay, oven started at 400 degrees. I'm going to cook this from 18 to 20 minutes. While that's going, we'll start sauteing the onions. So this way here, we got some good time management. We're going to saute the onions, get this going. So once this is finished, we can put this concoction on top of it. And then by this point, I'm going to see if I can shred that. If I can't, then it's not tender enough. But it's been a couple hours. It's been about 2 hours now. So we'll let that keep going and simmering while we pop this in the oven. Put the heat on medium. You can use sweetened or unsweetened. This is about 2 tablespoons, no big deal. Put that on. Because you got 3 full onions here, a whole casserole that we're making. And we're also going to line it with just a little bit of oil. I like to use peanut oil. And we can go ahead. We're going to put 3, hello, 3 onions. 3 full onions in there, all right? I'm going to put this on because they have to get soft and wilty anyhow. You don't want them to get charred. You want them to heat up nice and slow. Get them nice and caramelized. All right, and just like last time, I think I put a little salt and a little pepper into it. You want these nice and dark, right? Like caramel. How do you say caramel? Do you say caramel or do you say caramel? Like I do. It's like caramel. Every time I hear the word caramel, I think of Mount Carmel. All right, so a little bit of salt, little bit of pepper. Okay. I'm just going to speed this video up. Just thought of something. You could take about a spoonful, and I have this big obscene ladle here. Try not to get any of the brine on it because you don't want any chewy mustard seeds in it, but about maybe 3 tablespoons, you can go ahead and pop that in there for some extra flavor. All right, we're going to turn the heat up just a little bit to about medium high. I know it's a obnoxiously large burner, so we're going to do that a little bit more. so that it cooks a little bit faster. See how it's nice and wet though? You want to be careful with not cooking these on a dry frying pan because that's where you get that charredness from. I added a little bit of the liquid from the corned beef, plus 2 tablespoons of butter and about 2 tablespoons, maybe 3 tablespoons of peanut oil. All right. So while we're waiting for this to heat up, we're going to get this ready, and hopefully by the time this is finished, I will have had this fully prepared, ready to go. The dressing is chilling in the fridge, and everything is going to be ready. I can't wait. All right. See you in a minute. Okay, so these are starting to get real soft. They're starting to caramelize. So caramelizing onions, I'm sure you guys, a lot of you out there know how to do that. It's really easy. It takes about 15 minutes, at least for me. I do it pretty slowly. You want it to develop some nice flavor. All right, so this is starting to get pretty brown, and once it starts to do that, it's gonna get brown fast. All right, so at this point, we're gonna keep cooking it, but we're gonna put the sauerkraut on it. All right. So we want these onions to really mix into this. So you got that sourness, so the sauerkraut, and you got that sweet, savory, buttery flavor from the onions. And we're just going to cook these off now. And of course I spilled it into the stove. Part of me thinks maybe I should have done another onion, but that's alright. Most people just do the sauerkraut. I caramelize onions, it gives some more flavor to it. Alright, so we'll simmer that, put that on low. Alright, and as for this is looking pretty good. Alright, so we're going to keep the meat cooking. We're having it cooking for a couple hours. I'm surprised how much water stayed in it. Alright. Alright, I'm going to take a little break and edit some of this video. Alright, alarm went off for the pierogies. They're still very soft, not quite brown yet, so I'm putting it in for another 3 minutes. And then while I was editing the video, I don't want to really walk through the house too much with this, I shredded one full block of Swiss cheese. All right, so it's 8 ounces. When you shred it, it makes about 2 cups. All right, you're going to use all of it on the top. If you don't have Swiss, a perfect alternative. As a matter of fact, if I had provolone, I probably would have put that on in lieu of Swiss, especially if you don't like Swiss cheese. Provolone is the perfect alternative. As a matter of fact, when you bake it, the way it browns, oh, it's so good. So we're going to do Swiss for this one, all right, because that's all I have. I don't have provolone. And the cheapest way to go, 90% of the time, is buying blocks of cheese and shredding it yourself. I mean, it's extra labor, extra cleaning, but you're saving yourself sometimes $3, $4 rather than getting fillers and pre-shredded cheese for you, or even sliced. Get the blocks. It's much more economically feasible, especially if you want to try to save here and there and save for a rainy day. Like the impending storm, it looks like it's about to happen. Oh, there's a couple of things I do want to talk to you about, but I'll wait until I get into the executive orders, which I think I'm going to do tonight. I finally got the executive orders released. I had no internet for the past 4 days, and every time it would go all the way to the end, and then the internet would cut out, and Rumble finds a reason to just cancel or fail the entire video altogether. I tried doing it at work. It wouldn't go through at work. So I finally got it to go through today after the tech who supposedly fixed my internet issue. Since he left, everything went through. So I took advantage of the solid connection that might last me another 3 days to send everything through. So yesterday was technical difficulties. Just did a quick live 2-minute video because the small one seemed to be working. Like I could play a small video, I couldn't play a long one. So that's what, oh, hold on, sorry. So that's what this looks like. I could have gone a little bit more with caramelizing the onions, but you can kind of see where it's nice and caramelized. And it altogether has a nice different taste to it. So we're gonna let this cook a little while longer. Make sure it's not, yep, it's got plenty of liquid in there and it shouldn't burn. And it'll make for a better Reuben because it's not gonna be dry and chalky like the last one. The last one was good. It just needed a lot more Thousand Island to be able to palate it easier. So we're gonna do a little, make some positive adjustments. And so I feel like, oh, that's why this meat's been exposed to the air. So we're gonna flip that over, flip this over. Very good. All right. So that's the corned beef. All right, it's about 5 pounds in there. I'm gonna let that cook off a little longer. All right. See you guys in a couple minutes. Now for the moment that you guys have all been waiting for. Putting this thing together. All right, so first thing you're gonna do while this is cooling off a little bit, we're gonna shred that, is we're gonna go ahead and layer this entire thing with the sauerkraut. Actually, let's see if we can do it this way. Can you see what I'm doing? All right, nice healthy scoops here of the sauerkraut. Actually, yeah, we could do one layer, like one thin layer of sauerkraut, just to keep the pierogies wet. All right, and then we'll mix the meat with the rest of the sauerkraut so that it's not too layered. You kind of want it intermingled a little bit. Wow, do I need to clean my stove? Which is okay, because I got stainless steel cleaner. All naturals. All right, beautiful. So that does not get dried out. Put this in the sink. And get my little claws. So we can start shredding it up. Pampered Chef, I'm telling you. All right, so what's cool about these is it really, this one grabs, this one shreds, so it's easy to pull it apart. This is gonna make for a perfect Reuben. There's nothing like shredded corned beef. And I will say, I did try a piece, but I want you guys to watch my face. Of course, I dropped a piece of it. Perfect. It's not too salty. I don't like it when it's too salty. But that brine that I cooked, well, not to mention the sauerkraut juice, which I think vinegary stuff when you're boiling beef tastes good generally. I know beef, what's it called? Goulash, the Hungarian soup, is so good because they add a little bit of straight up vinegar. Just gives it such a nice taste. All right, so I shredded it to nearly smithereens. So it's nice and shredded. We'll mix the rest of that in here. I almost said the one thing I didn't use for this dish is potatoes, but that, my friends, is what's in the pierogies. I think that's the best way to add potatoes. So good. It's not crispy like I had hoped for, but it's well cooked. Just not golden brown like I expected them to be. All right, so just like we did before, we're just gonna add a lot more of the corned beef onto it. There we go. It's looking amazing. Then we'll put the Russian dressing on top of it and then finish it off with the cheese. And then we're gonna bake this at 400 degrees. I forgot a 0 there. 400 just until the cheese is melted crispy. Kind of like a well done pizza. So, that's okay. If this is a little bit bigger, you got a little piece of steak in your dish. So, there we go. And there you have it, as I always like to say. But we kind of want to, let's see if we can just, there's almost 5 pounds of this beef. So I think this is going to feed more than 6 people, if you ask me. All right, I'll make another casserole later. I'll freeze that. There you go. There we go. All right, Russian dressing. So excited. It's so good. Actually, we'll just pour it on like this. A little zigzaggy, and then we'll fill in the blanks. In my way. Okay, when nice and evenly. Of course, when it starts cooking off, it'll thin out and melt with the cheese. And the reason why I'm comfortable with baking this, because I know mayonnaise gets kind of oily when it gets hot, is I do the same thing with Thousand Isle dressing when I do the open-faced BLTs. It's just as good. So I have pretty good confidence that this is going to come out just fine. Delicious. All right. Final step. You're gonna put the shredded cheese over it nice and evenly. It's a shame they canceled their Bible study tonight. This would have been a hit. Kind of saddened by it, but maybe some family members can come over. Oh, well, I guess this would help, right? Temperature, 400. Okay. All right, so 2 cups of Swiss cheese is more than plenty. It's gonna have a nice thick cover. When you're making a Reuben, there's nothing like a nice thick layer of cheese on it. So this is our casserole. You don't need to put a lid on it. Just put it in as is. Let's see how this tastes. I know I'm like picking with my fingers, but this is mine. So go ahead, try it. This is gonna come out very good. All right, see you in a minute. Oh, it just stopped sizzling. Well, anyways, here's the finished product. Doesn't it look amazing? Look at that. The Russian dressing held up very nice. All right, you guys are gonna watch me try this, and I will give you my honest opinion whether this is an A+ or an A++. Maybe even A+++. But the only one that made A+++ was Mary B's steak. Let's see what happens. Okay, so this is what the finished product looks like. It's very hard to scoop yourself a pretty piece because it's very all together. But this is what a Pierogi Reuben Casserole looks like. All right, so without further ado, why don't we give it a try? I say that a lot. Oh, it does get a little crispy on the ends. A little bit golden brown. I'm weird. I like one little piece of each so that I can appreciate, see how it all tastes put together. So here we go. Cheers. Ugh, just kidding. Sichuan. It came out excellent. What could make this better is if we had onion pierogies. I think the potato and cheese kind of doesn't seem to get along with the Swiss. That's just my opinion. Other than that though, it does taste very good. It does taste good. But I'm very nitpicky. I notice things, like if there's one little thing that doesn't get along, I'll point it out. It's just me trying to be honest with you. It's A++. The only thing that could use some improvement is the pierogies. But let's try the Russian dressing, the meat, and I almost said coleslaw. The sauteed sauerkraut with onions with Russian dressing. It's perfect. It's got the right amount of everything. You got the zing from the sauerkraut. You got the warmth from the Russian dressing. And then you have the well-brined meat to go with it with a little bit of saltiness, not a lot. I like that it's not too salty. And then the spice that goes with this, like you can appreciate the mustard, the clove, all these different things, the allspice that they put in the brine, along with some of the pickling ingredients that I used from what I have. It's just a lot of mess to clean up when you're done, because I didn't realize my sink would be full of these tiny little balls. But I had to do 3 little grates worth to take out. But it's all worth it. It's very well done. And that's not to pat myself on the back. This is definitely a good recipe that I have influence from other people. I just put my twist on it. This is an A dish, an A plus dish. All right, I'm not even gonna demote it to a B. It's perfect. But anyways, I could go on. So I'm gonna let it go. With that, I'm gonna say goodbye for now. Maybe I'll see you later on tonight for more executive orders. Take care. Bye.